Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm kicking off a video series that I am really excited about, but despite what this bookshelf behind me might suggest, it actually has nothing to do with books. One of my big goals for the year is I want to improve my weaving skills, and I've decided to do this by tackling the Make 9 challenge, which I believe originated over on Instagram. The idea being that you make 9 items that you put a lot of thought and intention and really delved into the process with each of those items. And so I wanted to do that, but I specifically wanted to do it as scarves because I really enjoy weaving scarves. They're really nice size to weave. They're not huge. They don't take a huge amount of time to warp, but they give me an opportunity to try out some new color and weave techniques, new skills, try some new fibers. So that's my goal for the year, is to make 9 scarves and have each one be a little bit different and each one be some sort of learning experience. But I knew at the end of this I didn't want to have 9 scarves sitting around the house that I was going to have to wear, because I'm not actually a scarf wearer. I pretty rarely wear scarves. I do have a few that I particularly like, but I'm just not a scarf wearer. So I knew I didn't want to have a bunch of them sitting around, so I thought, what if I make scarves for other people? And then I got this great idea to reach out to this friend group that my partner has pulled me into that are all of his VTubing friends, and see if any of them would be down to let me make a scarf based on their VTubing model and then send it to them. So quite a few people actually took me up on that, and I'm really excited. For one thing, they're just really lovely people, so I'm seeing this as an opportunity to kind of thank them for just welcoming me in so openly, and many of them I would now consider my friends as well. They're just really great people, so it's kind of a way of thanking them, but also it's going to be a fun challenge for me to design something for each of their different tastes and each of their different color schemes. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm so excited to be diving into this finally today. And this first scarf we're making is for Moth, who also goes by Moth Silk over on Twitch, but I've been hanging out with Moth a lot lately. She's been joining me on some of my streams when I've been streaming Ghostwire Tokyo, and I've been hanging out in some of her streams while she's been playing Resident Evil lately. She just finished the second playthrough of Resident Evil 2, and she's about to start Resident Evil 7, so it's just been a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed hanging out with her, and it just so happened that Moth's model looks like this. This is her Fugi, which is what pops up on the screen if she's in somebody else's stream, on a Discord call. And so her Fugi is here. She has a lot of purples and oranges in her model, and so when I asked her what colors did she want to pick something that was not what was specifically on her model, or did she want something for her model, she basically was my favorite colors are in there, and she wanted purple specifically. And I said, what kind of purple? Do you want pink purple, blue purple? She wanted blue purple. And I immediately realized I had the perfect yarn already in my stash. So here's the plan. Today I went ahead and warped the loom with this, which hopefully will show up okay on camera. I was planning to film this, I just want to put it a little aside. I was planning to film the warping. We'll see the warp in here at some point. I got a clip of it after I put it on there, but the way that my office is currently set up, I had room enough to do the warping, but I didn't have room to set up the camera. So unfortunately I wasn't able to film that process, but I've warped it with this, which is Malabrigo sock in their Archangel colorway, which is a blue, purple, and orange variegated yarn. So that is going to be the warp. That's going to be the background of the scarf. Then, for our other colors, I'm going to be weaving with this one. This is going to be the weft. This is also Malabrigo sock in Violeta Africana, I think, which is so African violets. It's this really deep, rich blue-purple, which is, I think, the perfect color. I've also, by the way, gotten her approval on this color scheme. That's the one thing, is I didn't want to make anybody something that they weren't going to end up wearing or enjoying. So got her approval. We got this kind of deep blue purple of that. And for Moth scarf, the technique I want to try is one I actually learned from a weaver who is now local to me. She lives in this city that I currently am living in, the one I've just moved to, and I met her at an event in a completely different city and was at her booth looking at her scarves. Ended up buying one of her scarves because she had these beautiful squiggle scarves that she had made. And the ones that she's made are silk blends. I'm using wool, and I'm going to be doing a squiggle of the yellow. So essentially it'll be a plain weave scarf with this kind of squiggly yellow piece that'll run through it, or several yellow pieces that will kind of run through it. Also, apologies if you can hear the neighbor revving his motorcycle. That's a thing that I've discovered happens out here at this time of day. But yeah, so I'm going to be doing a squiggle scarf with these colors on the, if I can get it back here, this warp. I'm really excited about this. I actually originally bought these colors to do a Ptolemy knitted shawl, and then realized that this blue purple and this archangel didn't contrast quite enough in the Telemine. So I ended up frogging it, and now I'm glad I did because it's going to be perfect for this. Oh, also this is still Malabrigo Sock. It's Malabrigo Sock in Frank Ochre, which I really like how rich this mustardy color is. Okay, so I finished putting in my warp separator, and I did this a lot further than I normally would have to. Like, you can kind of see that around here, it's pretty even. But I've done this a little bit further because I wanted to mark off this length of warp for twisted fringe, because I'm going to do like a 4-inch twisted fringe. So I needed to have a little bit of extra because I probably have like another inch or so down here. And at the end, when I take this off the loom, I'll cut all of that even and twist the fringe, which will be really pretty and will give it a nice like finished look. So that was why I did that way instead of starting when I could have started a little bit earlier. So now I can start on the actual weaving, although I apologize, the angle is going to have to change slightly because I need this closer. It's hurting my back to do it the way that I'm doing it. So we're going to move that a little closer and see if we can adjust it. So now I can kind of avoid the tripod and get right up in here. So the first thing I'm going to do, I can see that I've got a little bit of a looseness over here because of the way I've done this, but it is fine. One, because I'm going to pull these loops a little bit tighter, and two, because I'm about to start weaving into it, so it's gonna get yoinked into the middle soon anyway. We have all kinds of little mishaps in weaving, and I've never had a project totally fail, so I think it'll be fine, you know, knock on wood. So the first thing I'm gonna do is find my end here. There it is. And I need to leave several widths of my project in tail, because I'm also, besides doing the twisted fringe, I'm also planning to do a hem stitch. And so you always want to leave enough yarn for your hem stitch. So let me double check. I think it's 3 times, but let me just verify that. Yep, I am correct. It is 3 times the width of your project for hem stitch. So we're good to go. I'm going to bring all of that over here to this side. And I'm going to bring my heddle into the up position since the previous warp separating thread went in at the down position. So we'll do that. And we're just going to go ahead and put 8 picks in, which are the lengths of thread that go across. So go ahead and do it like that. Feed it into place, go into the down position, whoop, try not to get my shuttle stuck, go back across, pull that through, and as I'm weaving, I'm going to leave a little bit. I want this to be fairly close to this thread, but not like pulling it in, and I'm going to kind of pull my weft at an angle because this will give it a little extra slack so that the edges don't get yanked in while I'm working. Having all the extra length here is a little confusing in the first little bit, but it'll get better once we get through here a little ways. So there we have our first 2 picks, and then that's it, just that back and forth. And when I get 8 done, I'm going to stop and do my hem stitch. And then I will continue on. We'll add our first inclusion. I'm going to be including a little section of yellow thread to make the squiggle effect that I'm aiming for. And then we'll be off to the races. It'll just be 8 picks and then lay down the yellow thread, 8 more picks, lay down the yellow thread. I'm gonna tighten that a little bit. My tension's a little off. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how this whole process is going to go. So I'm going to finish up these 8 picks and I'll do my hem stitch and then we'll get going. We'll do the whole scarf. Now that the project is off my loom, my next step is getting this fringe ready to do twisted fringe. I just love the way a twisted fringe looks, and I think it's going to make a really nice kind of finishing touch on this scarf. So what I've done, because I haven't worked on anything with twisted fringe since I moved into this apartment, I wasn't sure where I was going to set this up, but I realized that my keyboard is like the perfect width and the perfect weight to hold this in place while I'm trimming everything. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to keep cutting all the fringe. I'm cutting it to 5 inches long. I've got a few bundles done so far. And I'm just doing this as like a tedious task while I'm doing some research. And I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to finish cutting everything all the way across. And I'll meet you back here when it's time to actually twist all of this fringe and make it pretty. It has been a very long time since I started this scarf and started this video. I believe I warped this on in like February or maybe early March, and it's currently about a week out from Thanksgiving. So it has been in the works for a long time, but here it is. Here is the finished object. I'm gonna see if I can get it to pick up some of the yellow. I find that the camera doesn't love to pick up that, but it's got the yellow streak running through it. And then what I think is probably one of my favorite details, if I can get it up into the camera, is the twisted fringe. I love making a twisted fringe. It takes some time and it's a little bit tedious, but I love the finished look of it. I think it really pulls the whole thing together and makes it look neat and polished in a way that just like, cut off fringe doesn't for me. I do like a good cut off fringe too though, but I feel like for this project, this was the correct choice. But yeah, it's been a very long time. It's been in the works for months and months, and I think what I've really learned from this is that, one, I should not underestimate the time it takes me to weave something. I should know that. I did a whole project on it for my master's degree. I shouldn't underestimate the time that it takes to make something by hand. And also I decided to draw out the Make 9 project. I think I talked at the beginning of this video about wanting to do 9 scarves across 2025. Obviously that hasn't happened, but I feel like that was maybe a lesson I needed to learn, is just to take my time with things and to focus on the process, focus on what I'm learning, focus on just trying to make it you know, fit the vision that I have for it, even if it's not perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. This is actually a few inches shorter than I had planned for it to be because I ran out of yarn for the warp, or the weft, I mean, at the very end of the project. I got to a point where I was like, I could maybe do like one more repeat with like another pick of the yellow, but I don't know if I'm gonna have enough then to do the last repeat before the hem stitch and the hem stitch itself. So I ended up kind of stopping at that point. So it's a little bit shorter, a few inches shorter than I was anticipating. But I'm really pleased with it, and I have shown this to the recipient now. She got a picture of it yesterday. I double checked with her if she wanted to see it before she got it, and she liked it, so I feel like that is mission accomplished right there. That was the most important thing to me, was that the person receiving the scarf will hopefully enjoy it for years to come. So yeah, that's it. That's the scarf. I am going to be continuing my Make 9 project, but I am under no illusion that it's going to be something I accomplish in a year. I expect this is going to be, you know, many, many months from now when I finish that 9th scarf. But I do have more scarves in the works, have a few things planned, and in the meantime I have a couple of other small projects I'm going to make for some of my loved ones that are like gifts for kind of upcoming holiday season and into the new year. So that's kind of where we're at with this now. Make 9 is continuing. I've finished my first scarf of the 9, and I feel like this was just a really fun project. I learned a lot, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. You can actually kind of see which side of this I started on, because a lot more of my picks of yellow have this sort of square end to them, and then later on it gets a little more rounded as I got to grips with what I was doing. But yeah, this was a really fun scarf to put together, and I'm really pleased, and I'm excited to send this off to Moth so that she can wear it. So, that's pretty much all I have here today. Let me know down in the comments below what color combination you would want to do for this if you were doing something similar. Like what colors would you want to use? I think this is a really fun way to incorporate a little bit of extra, like a pop of color. So yeah, I'd love to know what color combinations you guys can imagine for this. And also, shout out to Kelly Walsh, who is the weaver. I don't think I actually named her in my intro, but she is a local weaver who just does some incredible work, and she explained to me how she'd done this on a scarf that I bought from her, and was like, oh yeah, you could totally do this on a Rigid Heddle, and that was what kind of inspired me to start this whole project. So like, shout out to her. She's awesome. Her work is beautiful, and hooray for community, you know? Hooray for meeting other people with similar interests and learning from them. I just think that's great. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I hope you consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. Currently posting at least once a week, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.